Ready to fire up the grill tonight? More of us are cooking at home than ever, so it's time to sharpen up our barbecue skills. Grilling a steak is actually quite simple. A lot of people just don't know how to do it right, so we're going to fix that. Joining us now from his backyard grill in Moncton, New Brunswick, to show us exactly how it's done is Chef Dennis Prescott. Great to see you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good, and I love this segment because I love me a good steak. Dennis, what's the first step to grilling the perfect steak?
Yeah, so steak is not cheap. So, you get a beautiful cut of meat. It's 1.5 inches thick. You pay your hard-earned money. You want to cook it properly. The first thing you need to do is make sure it's at room temperature. Often recipes will say 20 minutes, half an hour. Really, something that's about 1.5 inches or 1 inch thick, it's going to take at least an hour before it comes to room temp. What that means is when something cold hits a hot grill or a hot pan, it seizes up. We don't want it to seize up. We want it to be beautiful, juicy, tender when it's all done. So that's the first step. And obviously we want to season it up properly. So we're just going to go on here with a beautiful bit of sea salt. Remember, you can't season the inside of a steak, so you have to season the outside of the steak, maybe more than you would tend to season something else, so that it penetrates all through that, and also so that it creates a beautiful crust and a bark on the outside. So on both sides, of course, beautiful salt and pepper. And then on the grill. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are grilling to temperature and not time. Sometimes people will say 8-10 minutes for a steak, but all pieces of meat, all cuts are created differently. So you need to make sure that we are using a temp probe. So just get one of these handy dandy little temp probes. You can get them at any grocery store. They don't cost a lot of money, and it will make sure, again, that you cook your meat to perfection, to your desired doneness. So we're going to pop this off of here. So I like my steak. See how beautiful that is. Beautiful crust, beautiful grill marks, nice and juicy. We're going to let this now rest. That is the most important thing, the essential bit. All of those juices, if you cut into a steak right away and they run out of the steak, that is what creates this really dry, tough kind of piece of meat. We don't want that. We want it to be beautiful and tender. Letting it rest for at least 5-6 minutes is essential before we cut into it. And then, Chef, of course, once we carve that, you get this beautiful steak.
It looks beautiful. Chef, I got to ask you, when you're talking about temperature, is there a range that we should be looking at for, like, doneness?
Definitely. So I prefer my steak medium rare. It's about 135 degrees Fahrenheit. If you like your steak a little bit more on kind of the medium to well, you're looking at about 145, somewhere around that range. But really, it's all personal preference, of course. Some people like their steak blue. That's not my preference. Some people like it well done. That's also not my preference. But if that's what you like doing, just make sure that you cook it properly and to temp.
Okay, now talking about preference, what type of steak do you like the most?
I mean, it totally depends. Right now, we've got a beautiful strip loin or a New York strip, depending upon where you're from. I love it because, it's not crazy expensive like a tenderloin, but it is more of a premium cut of beef. If you're doing something like tacos, a flank steak works beautifully, or a skirt steak, or if you want to, really treat yourself, you can go to that tenderloin route.
What kind of sauce are we putting on our steak today?
Definitely. So I know that so many people have backyard gardens, especially herb gardens this year. We're all spending more time at home, more time in our houses, and we want to make sure we have those beautiful herbs. So I have got a basil vinaigrette here. Really, we've got kind of basil, garlic, shallots, champagne vinegar, all this goodness. It goes into a blender, you blend it up, and you're good to go. And what I love about this vinaigrette is it's beautiful, it's fresh, it's light, it looks gorgeous. See how green and incredible that is. And the nice thing is you can mix this up with whatever herbs you have growing. If you don't have, 2 cups of basil, you can put a cup of basil, a cup of parsley. You can mix in any of those, even mints, kind of those fresh, beautiful, soft herbs will work incredibly. And it's a great way to save all those herbs at the end of the season as well, because it stores beautifully.
Chef, I know what I'm making for dinner tonight. Thank you so much.
Of course. It is delicious and you will enjoy it.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.